The Butter Anvil.
So, how about that Halo Infinite flight, huh? I was one of the fortunate gamers who found themselves playing Game.exe, also known as the Halo Infinite not quite alpha, not quite beta flight test. After playing it for a while, I've come to the conclusion that 343 is creating a game that provides a lot of compromises for fans of newer Halo games and fans of the Bungie games. But first, let's back up to Halo 5. In Halo 5, armor abilities as loadout options was removed, and certain base abilities were given to Spartans, including boosting sideways, charging forward into a powerful melee attack, and floating in the air and slamming into the ground, killing an enemy under you. In what I believe is considered the most popular classic Halo game, Halo 3, maps had equipment placed around them that could be picked up and deployed at will, expanding the game's sandbox and pickups. Halo Infinite, however, kept small parts of both and combined them. Players can still sprint, clamber, and slide, and they have been changed, but we'll get there, and power-ups have been turned into pickups that can be used at will. But what I think proves my point is the map pickups that increase the player's mobility. The repulsor lets you send back enemy grenades and deflects most fire, but can also be used to launch the player upward. And there's a grappling hook that can move the player around the map, pick up weapons, or pull the player to an enemy. If 343 wanted to implement a grappling hook using Halo 5's design philosophy, every player would have one. And if they followed Halo 3's, there wouldn't be one at all. Before I start this next part, let me explain a perspective I have, and I think a lot of people share, maybe even unknowingly. Something I love about the older Halo games is that players move at a pretty consistent pace, and as such, they can be predicted. I find that I personally have more fun in Halo 3 if I find myself losing a gunfight and manage a trade with a well-timed grenade than if I just get the jump on someone and shoot him. In my research for this video, I found a video by Shyway, someone who understands these games on a much more competitive level than I do, defending Sprint in Halo. Link is in the description. In it, he shows this example.
Well, consider this scenario. I'm playing Hardcore Team Slayer on the pit. I'm about to challenge Greenhall, and my buddy Batchford is waiting on the other end here. We get into a fight, and he's going to toss a nade and back down. In Halo 3, in this situation, I have no choice but to respect this grenade. I can't just jump over this grenade and try to kill him. If I go for it, I'll probably die, or if I'm lucky, I might get sent down to no shields, in which case he'll just clean me up for free. He's probably also standing up here with high ground as well, so he's got a huge advantage.
He describes how the player in Halo 3 basically only has the choice to back away, because if he pushes, the grenade will hit him, and he'll be at a significant disadvantage. But I view it from the other perspective. I personally really like that the player who threw the grenade predicted his enemy's movement and timed a grenade well enough that he buys himself time to reposition or disengage. Skill ceiling is technically lower, but this interaction is something that I personally consider to be one of the things that makes Halo unique. There's a rhythm at play, and it shouldn't be ignored. In Halo Infinite, the base movement speed is increased, and the sprint speed is slowed down, making sprinting a lot less necessary in the moment-to-moment gameplay. It still has utility, allowing you to slide and get to certain power-ups, weapons, etc., but with the gap between normal movement and sprint being tightened, it's much easier to predict how fast an enemy is moving, and that allows for interactions like the grenade in the doorway from earlier. Something that should be noted is that some percent, I'm not saying it's a lot, but some percent of players will argue that sprint should be in the game because Spartans can sprint canonically. I think that argument is irrelevant to the gameplay personally, but those people should be satisfied by sprint being in the game, even if it has been nerfed pretty heavily. There are also smaller things that make big differences to how the game feels aesthetically. SmartLink Gaming is back for closer range weapons, but the effect is much more subtle and none of the weapons have direct aim down sight like the Magnum in Halo 5. Another wonderful return to form is the art style. I'm not much of an artist myself, but I would argue that this looks more like this than this. To sum up, it seems that 343 is aware that changes they've made over the last few Halo games have divided the community, and it seems to me that they want to keep some of the more modern features that make the 343 games unique, while making a game that's more faithful to Bungie's Halo games. I, for one, am liking what I'm seeing, and I'm extremely excited to see what this game looks like at launch. I'm not very well versed in the Halo competitive community, and most of this was subjective, so let me know what you think. This isn't some algorithm ploy, I really look forward to the conversation. If you watched this far, thank you for your time.